Hello everybody, my name is Kanyisa and welcome back to As Real As I Can Be. Listen, I'm an author. That's my book right there with all the other books of other authors. Go grab it. The link is under this video in the description for you to go and get the video. Now, I put out a video doing the top 10 most racist countries that I have ever been to, and y'all have been asking me to do the safest countries that I have ever been to, and that is what I will be doing today because I'm a genie in a bottle, baby. So you ask, can I give? That's what I want to do for you on my channel. So let's get into it. Before I tell you though about the top 10 most safest countries that I have ever been to, I want you to know that for the LGBTQI community, that is such a loaded statement, because for me as a black female queer woman, safety is just not it's not a linear thing. It's not like, oh, it's safe there, I can go. I have to think about more than just physical safety. I have to think about, where is it safe for me to be black? Where is it safe for me to be gay? Where is it safe for me to be a woman? And what I did with this list is I am going down these countries that I've been to. Obviously, it's not all of them. I'm choosing the ones where I have felt the most safe. And I want to end it with the ones that I have felt not so safe at all, because again, I want you to be aware. A lot of people have accused me of putting out this content to scare you. Look at me right here. Do you see my eyes? I don't want to scare you. I want you to travel. I want you to travel. Oh my God, if I can gift you anything, lover, it would be the gift of traveling. That's what I want for you. But I want you to be aware. I don't want you to not go to South Africa. I want you to be aware. I want you to be careful. I want you to think when you are doing things in every single one of these countries. And also, you all have been asking me about your own countries. You want to know about, have you checked out the UK? Invite me. I'm going to come. Invite me. I'm going to come and I'm going to report back. All right? I want to see the whole world. Like, one of the things that I always say about myself is I will go and I will check it out myself. Even the countries that I talk about where they were racist, some of them I've lived in them. Some of them I've gone back because I've made friends. It's not the whole country. It is sometimes the system. It is sometimes the people. It is sometimes just how shit is. I get that. I'm not going to stop traveling because people are assholes. Fuck that. Okay, so let's talk about it. The top 10 safest countries that I have ever been to, keeping in mind that I've really thought about, where is it safe to be black? Where is it safe to be a woman? Where is it safe to be gay? Where can I go and feel like all of these identities, I am okay to be in expression of them in this country? Having thought through that, understanding that I don't have male privilege, I don't have white privilege, I don't have heterosexual privilege, but I go anyway, right? Number one on the list, Thailand. Listen, Thailand is that one country where I have felt safe to be black, I have felt safe to be gay, I have felt safe to be a woman in Thailand. I walked around with my lover holding hands, kissing at the metro station. It was saucy. Thailand was number one. I could go anywhere at any time and be myself and not be worried and not be scared. Now, I want you to also understand that these are my experiences. I lived in Thailand for a year. I lived there with my partner for about, I think she was in and out for that year. And we honestly, to this day, I can't think of a moment where I have felt, like, when you feel a vibe, and just like, oh shit, there's a vibe. I've never felt like that in Thailand. So number one, Thailand, love you, good food. Oh, I should do a food video. I'm going to next week, but Thailand, mwah. Mwah, sawadika. You're like killing it over there with the kindness, with the warmth, with the love, with the acceptance. I'm not gonna lie about the Thai people. I'm just gonna tell it like it is. Y'all are doing it right with your tourism. Loved it. Thank you. So number 1 is Thailand. As you can tell, I love them. I would go back in a heartbeat. See me there. Number 2 is Singapore. Now y'all are gonna be like, but you said there was racist. How can it be safe if it was racist? I felt physically safe in Singapore. I remember my first time. I've been to Singapore for about 6 or 7 times, and I remember my first time in Singapore. I thought, I'm scared. And I remember the first time where I left the house at 3 in the morning and walked to a 24-hour McDonald's all by myself. And I had my headphones jamming because it's such a safe country. I knew that it was okay. I was not gonna get hurt. No one was gonna come mug me. No one was gonna come steal from me. I could just do all the things. So when it comes to physical safety, that's it. Also, I do know that in Singapore, the law, I'm not sure if it's the same, correct me if I'm wrong and you're from Singapore, only if you are from Singapore, and only if you are queer. If, like, people being like, oh, I've never even been there, but you're wrong. You've never been there. You don't know. But if you're from Singapore, I have so much energy. I think I drank a lot of coffee today. But if you're from Singapore, and correct me if I'm wrong and things have changed, but when I was there, it was illegal to be a homosexual. It had not been decriminalized yet. And so I was worried about that at first. And I remember just being really closeted with my ex in Singapore, even though walking around Singapore, I saw so many lesbians in Singapore. I actually write in the book that when I was in Singapore, I just started coming up with these jokes where I was like, they make lesbians here. There's like lesbian factories in Ang Mo Kio where they just like transport them over to Bishan, and everyone is just on that Arab street having a great time. People were openly queer in Singapore, and for that reason, safety, people just feeling like people were comfortable being gay, especially the lesbians. You know how they do it, their little haircuts and their girlfriends looking saucy and hot. So yeah, Singapore would be number 2. Number 3, in terms of physical safety as well, it will have to be South Korea. Now, a lot of these Asian countries, y'all are like, it's mostly Asian countries. It's mostly the countries I've been at. I told you, the countries where I've been at. So South Korea comes in at number 3. Honestly, I felt safe in South Korea. Nothing happened to me. I put it at number 3 because things happened to my friends. Things happened to the people I loved when I was in Korea. A friend of mine was violently attacked at a bar for making out with his Korean partner. The Korean partner ended up in hospital for about a week. They had cracked his ribs, and they said it wasn't okay that he was gay because he was Korean. And I share these stories with you in the book. So I put it at number 3 because for me, I don't have that story of like, oh, and then I got mugged, and I don't have that. I was gay as fuck. I was making out with everybody at the bars in Korea, but things happened to the people that were very close to me. Things that were ugly. So it's at number 3. And number 4, it's gonna shock you again. You're gonna say, but you said they were the most racist. When it comes to being gay and woman and feeling safe, Australia was just the place. Like, I remember the only incident that happened in Australia, we were in Darwin, which is like the Northern Territory, and this guy kicked us out, kicked out my partner and it was like, oh, I knew a couple was coming, but I didn't think it would be 2 women. And what I also understand is that with these small towns, they are so backwards. Yes, we went out, but living in Melbourne, living in Sydney, being around people, even when we were in this little island in Townsville, I felt safe being gay, and I felt safe being a woman. Even though it was racist, I knew that I would not be physically harmed. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. So at number 4, we're going to put Australia. And then at number 5, I put Mexico. I love Mexico. Yo tengo Mexico mucho. Mexico, for me, oh my God, I hate that I'm talking about myself here. Mexico was lovely. I had good food. I saw a lot of like brown people. Obviously it's a brown country, but even with the tourists, because they're right next to America, that's where everybody goes. And I saw people being visibly queer. I remember watching this lesbian couple at a restaurant, and they were playing, their son was just around playing, and they were watching, I think it was a sports bar, and they were just watching soccer, and it was just beautiful to see. And I felt safe. I felt safe being black. I felt safe being gay. I also felt safe just being myself in Mexico. So that was saucy, that was tender. So at number 5, we're going to put Mexico. And then at number 6, we are going to put Guatemala. I love Guatemala. Nothing happened in Guatemala. You know, even people are like, oh, Guatemala City is very dangerous. I remember being in Guatemala City and just making sure we get on the, I was traveling with my ex, and we just get on the bus that same night to where we were going. But wherever I went, I just never felt like I was going to be attacked. Nothing ever happened to me. People say don't go with feelings. I don't know about you, but if you've traveled, like really traveled, you can feel. So yes, Guatemala. Number 7. Now we're moving into those cities where I felt on high alert. I felt that I can't really relax. I felt like I can't really just chill. I had to be smart. And that's the thing about traveling. Wherever you're traveling, some countries you can just be like, chilling, but some countries, be smart, be street smart, know where you're at, know how to carry yourself. At number 7, I have the Philippines. The Philippines felt unsafe. I lived in the Philippines for 3 years, and I owned a party boat in this beautiful island called Palawan, and I lived in this small town. It's a big island, and I lived in this small town called El Nido, and I owned a party boat there, and I owned an eco resort. These pictures are coming up correctly, hopefully. And I remember all of these things and being part of a culture. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, the Filipinos are so nice, they're always smiling. There's a reason for that. Filipinos need to smile and be happy because tourism is how they make money. That's how they make a living. But when you engage with the local community, you see shit. You really see some crazy intense shit, and I do share some of that in the book. I know you guys are like, tell us stories. I have stories in the book, and they're not pretty, about the Philippines. So also I had the biggest heartbreak ever. I do love the Philippines because I have a weird relationship with it, because I had the biggest heartbreak, and that's where I met the love of my life, the person that I'm with now. So it's just like, Philippines, you little gorgeous conflicting country that is the Philippines. And so yeah, I put it at number 7. I think I messed up with the numbers, but you get where I'm going with this. Number 8, I have Malaysia. Malaysia felt unsafe. That's the truth. In Malaysia, I remember one time, so I remember just walking to work one morning, and this guy came, and he was on a scooter, and he reached out as he was driving past me, reached out, grabbing my laptop bag. And that day I had my passport in there. I remember freaking out and just being jolted, and he was pulling it, and I fought him off, and I was like, fuck you, just screaming like crazy. And so things like that did happen in Malaysia, and that's one story that I have, and other people have way more stories. So Malaysia, I didn't really feel that safe. And then at number 8, we have the United States. Like, you can tell now that I'm going from, I'm doing this, okay? I'm doing this. The United States doesn't feel safe. And I think what hurts me about the United States is that you could just get hurt at a grocery store. You could get hurt at a freaking, I don't know, FedEx. Someone can come and shoot. I remember walking out of my apartment and feeling like, oh yeah, I mean, being black here, I don't feel safe at all. I don't feel like, I've never felt like I would be singled out and be attacked in that way. It is also in America that my partner and I have received gross homophobic texts from random people who see us on our Instagram, and that is so scary. I've never experienced it to the level of how they describe the violence that they will do to us because we are gay. And a lot of people are like, just brush that off to probably some guy at a basement just jerking off, whatever. But for when it's happening to you, it is so scary to read the things that they say. And so for that reason, I also don't feel safe at all. We are always very careful about, who we give our apartment number to. We're very careful about what time we come home. If we take our dog out, we try and make sure it's both of us out there. Or if I'm going out by myself, I have my phone. Oh wow, so yeah, America is definitely like one of those countries where, Jesus, it's hard to feel safe here. And I can only imagine for the rest of the country, being a black man, particularly in America, it's wow. I mean, also being a black woman, just being a black anything, being of Asian descent, anything that doesn't have to do with being white, it's heavy. So America scares the fuck out of me. But at number 9, the least unsafe country that I've ever been to is the country where I was born in, the country that I love, South Africa. Let me put it out here real quick. We have a huge issue of gender-based violence in South Africa. If you're South African and you are watching this and your initial reaction or your initial response is to defend South Africa, then sit with yourself because you are part of the problem. At home, we have a huge issue of gender-based violence. I remember being home with my partner who is white, and my uncle's calling me and saying, hey, tell Kanyisa to keep her at home. They should not be walking up and down the streets. If she needs anything, Kanyisa should go get it herself. Keep her in the house. Because people were saying things in the bar where he was at. And I didn't feel safe at all. And I know for a fact that women in South Africa don't feel safe. And also being a lesbian in South Africa, I'm from a country where they burn gay people, where they kill lesbians, and it is hurtful to even say. My voice is shaking, but I don't like crying in front of the camera. It's a very conflicting thing to love a place so much and not have it love you back. I remember when I was at home with India, I had just come out to my grandmother, and she was so worried. My grandmother was processing my coming out, but also so worried. She just blurted out the one time, she was like, they kill people like you here and they burn them. You guys shouldn't stay too long in Johannesburg. And she was scared because a few months before, there was this big story that broke out on the news and television of this lesbian couple who got raped and burnt in their car in Cape Town. So she sees the news and she was really worried. And so South Africa, I'm going to put it down there, like it has to be out of all the countries that I've ever been to, including the ones that I didn't add here because time. South Africa is always going to be the least. It is also so beautiful. If you want to go to South Africa, write to me. I know a friend of mine who runs an amazing travel company, and I would honestly, if I was a solo traveler to South Africa and I had never been before and I was going by myself, I would join a tour group. I would go because my country is so beautiful. We have the safari, we have mountains, we have the beach, we have the culture, we have the food, we have the people. Oh, we are just like all things beautiful. But we do have deep problems with gender-based violence, with homophobic violence, and because of that, I am putting us down there at number 10. And I hope this helps you. This has been As Real as I Can Be with Kanyisa. And as real as I can be means I'm going to be as honest as I can be. If you disagree with it, hey, that's your story. But this is mine. And I will see you next week with another episode of As Real as I Can Be. And just so you know, we are turning into a podcast next month. July 1st, I'm really excited. We're going to be a podcast. I'll be having people join me to have conversations about all things traveling, all things queer, all things life, all things mindset, all the things that I love talking about. So stay tuned with that, and I'll see you guys next week. If no one has told you, I love you.